Oh, I can't believe this. I'm in sunny Monterey, California, and right here, there it is, the brand new C7 Stingray Corvette. Coming up next on the Fast Lane Car. There it is. Under the hood is a brand new 460 horsepower, 460 pound-foot of torque, small block V8. And this engine, while it may look and have the same displacement as the old one, the 6.2 liter, it is completely new and it is completely loud. All right, there you go. So what happens from a technological point of view when that exhaust note changes like that? Are there baffles in there?
There's a valve inside the exhaust system, electrically controlled valve that opens and closes depending on the driver mode. So what I just demonstrated was track mode, where that valve is open most of the time.
I see. And that gives you that kind of deeper
Absolutely.
Push rod, V8, yes. Small block, Chevy.
Yeah, the sound we all know and love.
Now style-wise, this car is completely different from the old one. The old one was sort of a jelly bean. This one, to my at least, looks a little bit like the Viper from the front, the GTR from the side, and of course with those unusual lights in the back, it's very Camaro-like, but it all works. These vents right here, those are functional. In fact, everything on the car is functional. That's where the design came from. It's all about performance.
So what is the design language that separates this car? Because it does look very different than the previous generation car. Really came right off the racetrack. We took the functional attributes of the C6R racer, the Le Mans racer, and the ALMS race car, and we looked at what does the race team do to use the exterior design to improve the performance of the vehicle. So you can see that right in the way this car is executed. You can see the functional hood opening, where you take the air through the radiator and up over the top. You can see the quarter vents, exactly like the race car has, to cool the diff and the trans. And because we had those design elements essentially as a new, fixed component of the car on the exterior, the whole rest of the surface could kind of evolve around them.
Now, of course, the most controversial aspect of this car are the taillights, right? I'm looking at the other Corvettes, and they all have little round lights, and you look at this one, they're no longer round.
Well, we decided to take some risk there, walking away from our sort of traditional look. And Corvette taillights haven't always been purely round, they've just been approximately round, but four design elements, and we do have that carried over. We wanted to telegraph, though, that we're using LED technology, so new state-of-the-art technology. It's much more expensive, much more capable, uses less energy than the traditional incandescent bulb. If we'd made a plain round tail light that looked the same as the old ones, we wouldn't be showcasing that we were using that technology.
Now this new Corvette starts at about $52,000, and if you click all the boxes, it'll go all the way up to about $72,000. But here's the cool part. It does come with a removable hard top. And this top is made of carbon fiber, which means it weighs only 16 pounds, and it fits nicely in the back of the Corvette so that you can truly go topless. So, what's it like to drive the brand new C7 Corvette? Well, for a big guy, the first impression is that it's very tight in here. It's a little bit like the Viper in that regard, and that my head is almost hitting the ceiling and I'm kind of looking out into unfortunately, the visor here. However, I have a freakishly long torso, so that may not be a problem for a lot of you guys out there. The steering is very light, very precise. The shifting is good. It's got this rev matching ability, which is kind of interesting. So when I like downshift in a third gear, the engine automatically revs to match the car speed, and that makes it much easier and makes it much smoother. Now there are about 4 different modes, I believe, in this car. There's track mode, there is touring mode, there's sport mode, and then there's eco mode. And right now I'm in touring mode, and that seems to be fine for these kinds of roads. There is a noticeable difference in ride quality when you switch between the 3. Unlike the Viper, which is raw and visceral, this car is much more refined. There's a lot more attention to the driving dynamics. It's not like riding a Harley where it's all about how loud it is and how crazy big the wheels are and how fast the car can go. There is a sense that you can take this car across country. Having said that, I think the Germans, especially in the 911, do a better job in designing an interior for tall and big guys, because I do feel like I'm wearing a suit that's maybe one size too small. And I guess the thing that impresses me the most, and it's always been my kind of limiter to ever falling in love with a Corvette, is the interior. Because you used to get into the previous generation car and it felt like you were getting into, well, let's be honest, it felt like it was a regular GM product. And you're spending a lot of money and you're getting the Halo car and you want it to feel special. And I have to tell you, this feels special.
Well, that's the first thing we talked about. When we started, a lot of the things Corvette has been doing well for a long period of time, especially the last few generations, but the interior was an exception. You could pick at details and you could pick at the whole scheme, the whole theme of the whole interior. So when we first started talking about a new car, we said, all right, General Motors has upped its game and interiors in general.
Yes.
At the time we started to do this, and we said we ought to be able to do a beautiful, functional, spectacular materials, an interior that feels special, like you're talking, feels like it belongs in a car of almost any price point.
Yeah, you want it to feel special.
So you look around, you see real carbon fiber. This carbon fiber trim plate is a work of art. You'll see other cars that have carbon fiber, and what they have is tiny little accent pieces, little square patches here and there. This is all one piece that goes the whole width of the driver's portion of the cockpit, has very complicated shapes wrapping all the functional componentry, and it's real carbon fiber.
Now, in terms of ride and handling, it's a lot of fun. This engine is so torquey with the Sport Performance exhaust, 465 pound-foot of torque, 460 horsepower, and believe me, that is plenty fast. Especially when you're matching revs like this, going around these corners, the sense you get is that this car's limits are way beyond mine. And my friend Frank here, who's next to me, is being very quiet and being very nice as I'm taking this car through these turns at probably, definitely at what is a speed that is not recommended for most everyday driving. I do enjoy the stick shift. It has a 7-speed transmission, and that's a lot of gears because you basically have 1, 2, 3, 4 little slots at the top, and if you're not paying attention, it's pretty easy to go into 5th instead of 7th. Having said that, once you get used to it, especially with the rev matching, it does a really fine job in letting you feel like you're a visceral part of the car, which is something you don't get in the automatic. Now, you can turn off the rev matching. There's a little paddle shifter here, so now it's off. But you know what? Having it on is a lot of fun, and having this instant ability to turn it on and off is really good, because you could be driving along and just cruising and not want to have the rev matching, and then when you get into twisties like this, just flick the paddle shifter. Oh, there we go, way too fast. Whoa, way too fast. Speaking of way too fast, these brakes are outstanding. They're very linear. I have a real sense that I have very progressive control of how hard I want the car to brake going into these turns. The other sense I get is there's a lot of electronic magic going on to keep the car on the road. at it. Check it out. I'm into the 4s. 4.88. 4.88. And that was 4 attempts. And I keep getting better. But this surface is not the best surface to do these kinds of launches on just because, well, it's very slippery. I've got my buddy here, Frank, who is being very quiet as I'm going way too, well, fast on these twisty roads. Thank you, Frank.
And I forgot to bring my Depends.
Look at these brakes. Look at that. It just hauls it right down. And now here forward. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now that's in touring mode. Look at that. Let me swap it over to track mode. Another turn. Revs matches, just take it around this turn. Oh. Listen to that, Frank.
Yep.
All right. That is dangerously too much fun. Oh yeah.
That, yes.
And you can tell how in track mode it switches the exhaust notes, right? So the baffles in the exhaust switch up, so all of a sudden you get that nice steep V8 roar.
Well, I think in the track mode too, it also keeps the revs higher.
Yeah, and we're also bouncing around a lot more, so you can tell it's really shifted up the way that the suspension is working. The car feels very neutral. It's very flat, and you know what? Now that I'm flogging it around these turns, it doesn't feel as small anymore. All that goes away. It just feels very manageable and very easy to control. Well, thank you for putting up, Frank. I appreciate it. Let's switch this back to touring and kind of take it back to do not lose your license mode. So obviously this is a new convertible, but that will not be out until the end of this year. Chevy's saying December. The regular car, on the TFL scale of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, I'm gonna say, I don't know. I only got to drive it for about an hour and a half. As always, this is Roman, reporting for the Fast Lane Car and driving the crazy new Corvette. See you guys next time, and thanks for watching.